take a look at is not just how CSS can be applied using JavaScript, but how we can actually change HTML itself using JavaScript. So I'm going to jump over to Photoshop really quick, and I've made two images, one called close.png. You can see it's just a little greater than sign. I'm way zoomed in, which is why it's pixelated. And open.png, which is just a vertical chevron, or frankly, it looks like a V. And so I've saved both of those to the same folder as my HTML project that I'm working on here. So if I were to look at both of these, they would be sitting right next to each other inside of this folder. So what I'm going to do is on hello there, I'm going to put in that close PNG file. And I hit save, refresh, and you can see I have this little close symbol next to hello there. And what I want to do is make it so when you click on this, not only does the text appear, but also this image changes. So I'm going to manipulate the HTML directly. Instead of just changing CSS, I'm actually going to change the HTML. So to do that, I need to have some way of grabbing this image. So in the same way that I used ID down here to grab this div, I'm going to grab this specific image. I'm going to call it first chevron. And then on my first function up here, not only are we going to change the first section's style display to block, we're going to change that image. But we're not going to change the style. We're going to change something directly on the image itself. Specifically, it's src. So I can say go into that tag itself and change the src and set it to open.png, which is the other file I've saved in the same place as my HTML. Now, if these were in an image folder, I would do something like this to get to them, just like we used to do. But to keep things simple, they're just saying the same folder as the HTML is right now. If I hit refresh, now when I click on this, you'll see that my kablamo, my little image snaps to a new one. And so I can do the same thing down here. So I'm going to the bottom down here. I'm going to grab my image, copy it, paste it, and I'm going to give it a unique name called second chevron. And then up here, I'm just going to take this exact same code and paste it. But instead of saying first chevron, I'm going to say second chevron. And so now hit refresh. Now these two have two chevrons. And when you click on one, it shows up. When you click on the other, that one shows up. Now here's a problem. I can't close them. So I can click on these an infinite number of times. This is what I'm doing. And they're not going away because they're just being constantly told, set it to block, make it the open.png. Set it to block, make it the open.png. Set it to block, make it the open.png, over and over and over and over again. And so what I want to do is now introduce a new concept inside of JavaScript, and that is logic. We talked about logic before as being sequences of if-else. And so what we're going to do is say, if the display is none, then set it to block. Otherwise, set it back to none. So let's go ahead and do that. So what we do is we write if, and then in parentheses, the thing that we want to test. So what I want to do is test this right here. So I'm going to copy it and paste it. Check to see if that is equal to none. And if it is, then do this. So these two sets of instructions are inside of this if statement. Otherwise, else, then set them back to how they used to be. So make this one says display none, and this one say the image is set back to closed. I'll unpack all this in a second if it's confusing, but right now I'm going to run it. And so now if I hit it once, it opens, and if I hit it again, it closes. which is pretty cool. Now there's one thing I want to point out here. You can see I'm using two equal signs here. Why is that? Well, in English, we have this funky thing where we kind of inflect at the end of our sentences to ask a question. So I could say, my iPhone's in my right pocket, or I could say, my iPhone's in my right pocket. And by inflecting, I'm asking a question. And so we have the same kind of like subtlety around equal to. So I can say, red is equal to blue. Oh, that doesn't make any sense. Pants are equal to blue, or pants are equal to blue. And so I'm using inflection to ask a question. And so we don't have that luxury in code because computers are dumb, they're just really fast. And so we're already using the equal sign to mean make it equal to. What I don't want to do is not make it equal to, I want to check to see if it is equal to. And so double equals is the question, is equal to. So it's saying document.getElementById by ID first section.style.display. Is it equal to none? If it is, then do this. Otherwise, if it's not, then do that. And so the first time it's run, it makes it appear. The next time, it makes it hide. And vice versa, infinite number of times, however many times I click on this, infinite number of times, it will show and hide. So there you have it. We can modify CSS using JavaScript, and we can directly manipulate the HTML using JavaScript, and we can make logic. So we can do if-else statements using JavaScript. So again, play around with this, make sure that it makes sense for you, and we'll do just a couple more things to wrap up this module on JavaScript.